Historically, Kia have offered us 33 fully electric vehicles. That includes models which have been discontinued, but also the different battery variants of those different models. But perhaps in 2025 we are at an important stage, because Kia have promised us no less than 15 fully electric models over the next 2 years. And perhaps this, the EV3, their compact SUV, is one of the most important ones in that lineup, because it's one of the most popularly bought car segments, not only here in Malta, but to be fair, worldwide. Welcome to this episode of The Future is Electric. Alright, so what are my first impressions? Now, of course, if you've been scouring YouTube and you've seen other reviews of this car, you may have heard this comment before, but I will repeat it because I do genuinely feel the same. I think this car is frankly quietly brilliant. It's comfortable to drive. You get a nice high up but not too high up driving feel. The steering wheel is comfortable, suspension very smooth, especially over our potholes here in Malta. So it's a compact SUV built on EV only architecture, and that makes a huge difference, because despite being not a huge car, inside the car, both in the front, in the second row of seats, and even in the boot, you're gonna get the advantages of an EV only platform, in the sense that the cabin itself feels a lot larger. So a bit about the trim levels. So we actually have 3 trim levels to choose from in the case of this car. The base level variant gets what's known as the Air package, and to be fair, even for a base level variant, it's quite loaded with features. Some notable ones include wireless Apple CarPlay, which I've used today. It pairs brilliantly, and actually on this screen here it works really nicely. You also get heated front seats as standard as well in that Air level variant. And one feature I like a lot, maybe I'm a bit geeky about this, but is V2L, vehicle to load, which means the car has the ability to power appliances from a standard 3-pin socket. If you upgrade to the Earth package, which is the next one up, and that's the one they've given me today, you upgrade the sound system to a Harman Kardon. I get the heads-up display, which is very useful, especially for seeing the speed, but it's also showing me the my blind spots, essentially. So when there's a car in my blind spot, it turns on a small red light reflected in the glass, of course, also nice to see. And then of course there is the GT line package, which is the highest level trim mode. That one only comes with the big battery, whereas the others you can choose between the small battery and the big battery. And in the GT mode, GT line, you get heated rear seats, ventilated front seats, and an electronic sunroof, which this one does not have. A bit more about those battery choices, right? The small battery, good for around 430 kilometers of range. Big battery, just over 600 kilometers of range. And one thing I like in those entry-level trims, the entry and the medium trim, is that you can upgrade the battery for around 3 grand, which is a nice feature to have. And I think for 3,000 euros, it's worth considering, because you get a huge difference in the amount of range, right? An extra 200 kilometers. Do you need that in a small island like Malta? Maybe not, to be honest, but for the price point they are offering it, it may be worth considering. So there's a few different driving modes to choose from. They are toggled right from a button on the steering wheel, and basically as you tap it, you get different modes listed on the screen in front of you. Of course, we have the Eco mode. This is the car in its lowest form of power, but it's the one that's going to give you the most amount of range. So if you're squeezed to get where you need to get, then you might want to consider running the vehicle in Eco mode. For the everyday normal mode is going to be just fine. This is a balance between the power and range, right? But then of course we also have the sport mode to give the car the most sporty feel, which is bringing out the full power of that 200 horsepower electric motor, which I think is quite a sensible choice for this type of vehicle. Of course, there are faster electric vehicles on the market, but let me tell you, the person or people buying this car are not looking for that ludicrous amount of speed. And just to be clear here, so I don't make this sound like it's weak, right? This is 0 to 100 in 7.5 seconds. So this is faster than most internal combustion equivalents anyway. One thing I really like about the Kia cars is the Regen. So the Regen is controlled from the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, plus on the left, minus on the right. And right now I'm just going downhill, and I'm literally controlling the speed of the car and the gap to the car in front of me using just the Regen pedals, because there's 3 Regen modes, right? When I wanted to brake harder, I just bring it up to the highest setting. If I want the car to coast, I just bring it down. So you don't barely need to even press on the pedals in this situation. Of course, another thing I like is if you hold down the plus key, you essentially push the car into their I-pedal mode, which is their full-on one-pedal driving mode. This means I no longer have to use the brake pedal at all. It is full-on driving using just the accelerator pedal, because as you lift off the accelerator, the car will apply the brakes to a strong enough point that yes, the car does come to a complete halt should you wish it to do so. On the other side, if we actually hold down the minus pedal, we shift the Regen to an auto mode. So here the Regen is being applied based on what the car feels is the correct setting. So it's using that front-facing camera and radar to understand the road conditions in front of you and apply the Regen and the different strength to it as required. So quite a smart and intelligent feature over there as well. So we are actually quite spoiled for choice when it comes to the Regen options in this EV3. Alright, so I've just parked here and I want to walk you through the interior and what they've done with this EV3. So firstly, as you walk in, as I already mentioned, the space inside the vehicle is already very, very apparent. Now, you're immediately going to put your eyes onto this massive screen, which is actually 2 separate displays, 2 12-inch screens, one for our entertainment system and the other for our gauge cluster. We have in this level trim a 2-spoke steering wheel, which does change in that GT line version. Steering wheel quite comfortable and simple. As I said, driving mode button found right here and Regen pedals as well behind the steering wheel. We have a mix of touchscreen and physical buttons, but for the most part they do actually go quite physical buttons. Quite a lot of controls here for the windows. Air conditioning is also controlled from over here. The air conditioning is a bit awkwardly hidden over here, which depending on where you have the steering wheel may actually occlude it from the view of the driver, right? But the controls for which are physical buttons found over here, so that's nice to see. There's also a physical volume knob in the center here besides the one on the steering wheel. Moving down in this earth trim package, right, we do get the wireless phone charger, followed by some cup holders and some storage space. It's worth noting that over here we get this interesting tray design, right, which is quite unique. to say the least. There's also some buttons over here to activate, for example, the 360 cameras, which are among the best I've seen, to be honest, in terms of clarity and resolution. So they do come in very handy while parking for the most part. One thing to note is there's no actual storage, although you can lift this. There's no actual storage over here. The storage is all beneath, which, yes, does stay open. So if you have a bit of clutter, it's going to look a bit messy, but the glove box is of an okayish size. So if you want to hide things away, you can do so over there. This trim level does get the Harman Kardon sound system, which we've already discussed. And one thing worth noting, the materials used in here are highly recyclable. This is part of Kia's mission to create a sustainable future, not only through electromobility, because electric vehicles are a lot more sustainable because we can recycle a lot more of the components going forward, but also in the inherent other materials which the car is being built with. Kia here are making sure to use recycled materials. And to be fair, we've seen this from other brands, but I do like what they've done here because it doesn't feel cheap. Just because it's recycled, it shouldn't feel cheap. And they definitely do a very good job with the feel and quality of this interior. I have sat down in the back. It is a compact SUV, and with the seat in my driving position, I am 183, I had a good and comfortable amount of legroom even in the seat right behind me. Of course, the boxy shape of the car does help a lot with the headroom for the rear passengers. And of course, this car has a huge boot for this class of vehicle, for sure. 460 liters of space and an extra 20-liter frunk as well, should you wish to use it. So quite a lot of storage space in this vehicle. I do want to make a note on the real-world driving range of this car. So one very nice thing to see, and it's the first time I'm seeing it in an EV, and I've tested more than 50 of them at this point, is what you have here on the instrument cluster, which is the projected range. Currently, with 66% state of charge, the car is showing 320 kilometers of range. However, and this is the different thing, it's saying that at a minimum with this amount of charge, I will get 192 kilometers, or at a maximum 450 kilometers. So this means that if I drive like a maniac, I will get the lesser amount basically, but if I take it sensibly and drive more like a grandma, then I will get over 450 kilometers of range with just 66% of the battery. That just goes to show the potential of the vehicle. And there you have it, the Kia EV3. As I said, the first of 15 fully electric models we can expect from the South Koreans in the next 2 years. So they are definitely putting electric at the top of their agenda. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Do you have one? Have you tried one? Let us know in the comments. Guys, as always, big thanks to Motors Inc and Kia Malta for their support with today's review. If you want to support the channel or check out my other Kia EV3 video, the tech focused review, all that good stuff is in the description of the video below. But as always, I hope I've convinced you that the future is electric.